Tonight, a growing number of countries have formally recognized a Palestinian state.
In an unprecedented move that could reshape Middle Eastern geopolitics, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia have officially recognized Palestine as a sovereign state.
Now, breaking news, Australia and Canada have just announced that they are recognizing a Palestinian state.
This marks a significant break from previous policies that had long aligned these nations with Israel. For years, the Palestinian quest for statehood has been mired in international politics, with many Western nations, including these three, consistently backing Israel's stance on the matter. But as of September 21, 2025, these three powerful Western nations have joined over 150 other countries in acknowledging Palestinian sovereignty. This momentous decision comes amid escalating violence in Gaza and the West Bank, with global calls for justice and peace intensifying. But what led these countries to make such a pivotal decision, and what are the broader implications for the future of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? On September 21, 2025, the world watched as Prime Ministers Keir Starmer of the UK, Mark Carney of Canada, and Anthony Albanese of Australia stood before the United Nations General Assembly, making a groundbreaking announcement. In a coordinated move, all three leaders declared that their governments would officially recognize Palestine as a state. This announcement immediately sent shockwaves through the international community, particularly in the Middle East. These nations, long considered allies of Israel, had previously been vocal in their opposition to Palestinian statehood efforts. For years, the UK, Canada, and Australia had supported the idea of a negotiated two-state solution, but had refrained from granting Palestine full recognition. The decision to formally recognize Palestine stems from a combination of factors that have grown more urgent over the years. First and foremost, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza and the West Bank has reached unprecedented levels. In recent years, the violence between Israeli forces and Palestinian militants has intensified, resulting in the deaths of thousands of civilians, most of them Palestinian. Reports from international human rights organizations continue to document the dire living conditions of Palestinians in the occupied territories. The UN has reported widespread displacement, destruction of homes, and limited access to essential resources like clean water, healthcare, and education. This crisis has sparked growing international outrage, with calls for accountability growing louder across the globe. The reaction from Israel to this announcement has been predictably negative. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemned the recognition, calling it a reward for terrorism, and arguing that it undermines Israel's security. Netanyahu's response reflects Israel's long-standing position that peace can only be achieved through direct negotiations between Israel and the Palestinian leadership, not through unilateral declarations of statehood. He warned that recognizing Palestine in this way would embolden groups like Hamas, who are seen by Israel and the United States as terrorist organizations, and undermine efforts to combat extremism in the region. Similarly, the United States, Israel's strongest ally, has criticized the decision. U.S. President Donald Trump was quick to denounce the move, labeling it counterproductive and accusing the UK, Canada, and Australia of engaging in gesture politics. The U.S. has long supported Israel's right to exist as a Jewish state and has been a key player in efforts to mediate peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians. Trump's administration had previously taken steps to align more closely with Israel, including moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. The recognition of Palestine by these three Western nations marks a sharp departure from the U.S.'s stance and highlights the growing divide between Israel and its traditional Western allies on the issue of Palestinian statehood. Hamas, the militant group that governs Gaza, also issued a statement welcoming the recognition, calling it a victory for Palestinian rights and a defeat for Israeli occupation. This enthusiasm is shared by many Palestinians who view the recognition as a critical affirmation of their aspirations for independence and sovereignty. Human rights organizations across the world have also applauded the move, emphasizing that the recognition of Palestine is a necessary step to hold Israel accountable for its actions in the occupied territories and to press for a resolution to the ongoing conflict. The decision by the UK, Canada, and Australia to align themselves with the majority of the international community signals that the Palestinian struggle for statehood is gaining momentum, and many believe this could pave the way for broader international support for the Palestinian cause. The decision to recognize Palestine carries significant implications for the future of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. While this move does not immediately change the political realities on the ground, it is a clear signal to Israel that the world is watching closely and expects a shift in how it engages with Palestinians. Israel may find itself increasingly isolated in the international community as more countries follow suit in recognizing Palestine. This could apply diplomatic pressure on Israel to halt settlement expansion and resume peace talks with the Palestinian leadership. At the same time, the recognition could reignite the peace process, which has been stalled for years. Palestinian leaders may use this recognition as leverage to push for further diplomatic concessions and international support. However, Israel remains steadfast in its belief that a two-state solution can only be achieved through direct negotiations, and not through unilateral actions. The path forward will likely be fraught with challenges, as both sides continue to hold firm to their positions on issues such as security, refugees, and Jerusalem. The broader implications of this recognition extend beyond the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It represents a shift in international relations, particularly in the West. If other Western nations begin to follow the lead of the UK, Canada, and Australia, the recognition of Palestine could become a central issue in future diplomatic discussions, especially in Europe and North America. The geopolitical landscape of the Middle East may also be reshaped, with new alliances and diplomatic shifts potentially occurring in the wake of this decision. As the UK, Canada, and Australia officially recognize Palestine as a state, the world holds its breath to see how this monumental decision will impact the future of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. While this recognition is a powerful diplomatic gesture, it is far from the end of the road. The real challenge lies in what comes next. Will this spark a new wave of peace negotiations, or will it further entrench divisions in the region? Only time will tell. What do you think about this historic move? Will it lead to lasting peace, or is it just another symbolic gesture? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on global politics and international affairs.